Hello, this is Kim Glenn. The date is October 3rd, 2011. I'm in Oecussi, a small enclave in Timor-Leste in Southeast Asia, formerly part of Indonesia. This enclave is quite isolated, located right on the coast, as you can see behind me. Just beach. Up to the south, there are very high mountains, beyond which there's more territory of this enclave of Oecussi belonging to Timor-Leste. However, except for the ocean, the entire border around Oecussi is with Indonesia. There's no way to get here from the main portion of the country of Timor-Leste except by traveling across one border into Indonesia and then crossing the border again into Oecussi. A highly problematic transaction that involves unreliable immigration officials on the Indonesian side, quite uncooperative, very opportunistic. The only other way to get here is by ferry that travels directly from the capital city of Dili, stops at the island of Atauro just to the north of Dili, and then travels overnight, arriving here in Oecussi. Under that arrangement, you don't need a visa to transit through Indonesia. I intend to take that ferry tomorrow. I came by vehicle on the way here, and not having a visa to transit through Indonesia, unable to get one on arrival at the border, as I thought I could with arriving in places like Bali and Jakarta at international airports. Made it quite difficult for me to transit through Indonesia to get here. So to avoid those difficulties, I'm going to take the ferry back, although that seems to open up other interesting challenges for getting a seat, getting a ticket on the boat, and just managing minimal comforts on the overnight trip back to Dili. The beach here is quite astonishing in that it's quite clean. There's very few vehicles in Oecussi. The town here is very undeveloped, a lot of ruined buildings from independence, a few very modest restaurants, as the Indonesians would call them, warungs, very basic food, a few vegetables, some rice, chicken or fish to go with it, usually some eggs that are imported from Indonesia. But the seafront here offers some great potential, in my opinion, for tourism because it's really gorgeous. This is my third day here. The ocean has been pretty much beautiful and quiet as you see it now. Very manageable waves. I haven't gone in the water to swim. The beach, as I say, is relatively clean, even though the waterfront is kind of rough and undeveloped, and as many places in Timor-Leste, littered. Something that if you can overlook it, you'd be a much happier visitor. The Portuguese landed for the first time on this island of Timor, which is occupied in the western part by Indonesia and by the eastern part, except for this enclave of Oecussi, is now Timor-Leste. The landing spot is quite an interesting memorial there, a beautiful park along the waterfront, just a little ways to the west here. And apparently the Portuguese, having landed there in order to hide their ship from the Dutch who were patrolling the coast, they actually dug a large trench, allowed it to fill with seawater, and floated their ship from the ocean inland so that it would be hidden from the Dutch. There is a sad cemetery there as the Portuguese missionaries, Catholic missionaries, tried to bring Catholicism to the country. The local community took great offense at it and killed the missionaries, and their graves are also prominently there. The breeze here on the ocean is very nice, a little bit inland, and it's quite hot and uncomfortable. So it's a nice place to just hang out during the day. I have my iPhone with me so I can read a book. And there's no electricity here during the daytime. Even though many of the government offices have computers, there's no electricity to use them during the day unless they have a generator and have fuel to turn it on, which often they don't. Electricity is supposed to come on at 6 in the evening and go until 6 in the morning. The last 2 nights, those nights that I've been here, it does come on reliably at 6, but each night it went off around midnight or 1:30 in the morning. And since my room has only a fan in it, it's somewhat challenging to remain comfortable the rest of the night in kind of a hot, airless room. So other than these sort of challenges to personal comforts, it's a beautiful, quiet, clean, and very peaceful little community. Rice fields are very prominent right in the city limits. I think it offers some great potential if transportation here could be smoothed out, if they could avoid going through the uncertainties of the Indonesian immigration authorities to get here by vehicle, and of course if they could improve the ferry service. I don't have first-hand experience with the ferry, but by all reports it's managed in something of a minimal way. Apparently you can buy a VIP ticket for $14. That gives you a VIP chair, a more comfortable chair in which to sit for the long overnight trip. However, the reports are that the $4 ticket holders also quite freely occupy those chairs, and it's somewhat difficult for you to oust them once they're there and claim that chair for your own. And if, like me, you're going to travel possibly alone, you're at risk of losing that chair should you get up to use the bathroom. So it'll be a very interesting adventure. This is just to give you a little sense of the town, and like so many places in Timor-Leste, I find it quite delightful how the farm animals, chickens, and goats, and pigs, adults, and children alike are quite intermingled, and the cows as well. People sort of live with them, and sitting here in this little park, I find it a rather pleasant background sound to hear the chickens with their brood of baby chicks following them around as they scratch looking for insects, and spending the afternoon in the park in their own way. Signing off for now, this is Kim Glenn in Oecussi, Timor-Leste, October 3rd, 2011.